Hello and welcome back, or if it's your first time here, thanks for stopping by. It is the week of October 4th, 2022. My name is Amelia, and from Locus magazine, I'm going to tell you about some exciting new science fiction, fantasy, and horror books being published this week. We have a ton of books being published right now. Some weeks are just like that, and this week there's just too many to tell you about all of them. If I tried to do it all, I will talk too long and forget how to make words. Anyway, go find the full list at locusmag.com under new books for October 4th. The link is below. Also links for timing if you want to skip to your favorite category, be it science fiction, fantasy, or horror. Starting with science fiction books this week, we have 12 science fiction titles. I'm going to highlight a few up front and then go kind of fast. Strap in. From Ray Naylor, we saw The Mountain in the Sea, out from publisher MCD in hardcover, ebook, and audio. This near-future cephalopod/AI thriller is about the nature of consciousness. An octopus civilization on a remote archipelago attracts scientists and greedy corporations, and the cephalopods want them gone. Quick aside, I have learned the proper conjugation for octopus is not octopi. That's a Latin construction, and I guess we still think Rome conquered the world. Octopus is a Greek word, and the plural in Greek is octopodes. Octopuses is perfectly fine in English. That's your grammar lesson for the day. Anyway, I was telling you about a book. Locus reviewer Gary K. Wolfe says, in Ray Naylor's remarkable first novel, The Mountain in the Sea, the main characters are speculating all the time about consciousness, perception, communication, language, neural structures, corporate greed, social organization, environmental depredation, artificial intelligence, and most of all, octopuses. Far from bogging down the narrative into a series of info dumps and as you know, Bobs, those speculations form the core of the novel, and Naylor presents them with such immediacy and passion that the intellectual adventure is as compelling, more compelling, really, than his tale of corporate intrigue, high seas adventure, and characters dealing with past traumas while searching for some sort of identity. Okay, I'm gonna have to go shorter, or we're never gonna get through all these books, octopuses or not. From Stephen Baxter, we saw The Thousand Earths, out from Glance in hardcover, ebook, and audio. In this page-turner of a science fiction novel, space traveler Hackett's adventure begins in 2145 AD as he time travels through time dilation, and his life ends up interwoven with that of a woman on a world being destroyed by an ever-rising tide. From Celeste Ng, we saw Our Missing Hearts, out from Penguin Press in hardcover, ebook, and audio. This is a very near-future dystopian novel about a 12-year-old boy trying to track down his long-lost mother, a Chinese-American poet. From Mer Lafferty, we saw SF mystery novel Station Eternity, out from Ace in trade paperback, ebook, and audio. An amateur detective causes enough trouble that it drives her to live on an alien space station, but her problems come with her. From Alexandra Pierce's review in Locus, Station Eternity balances both the science fiction elements, meeting aliens, understanding how to work with them, and the mystery elements very evenly. From Hugh Howey, self-publishing poster boy gone traditional, we saw Across the Sand, out from Morrow in hardcover, ebook, and audio. This is a standalone SF novel set in the world of sand. A disaster has destroyed civilization as we know it, and 4 siblings struggle to build their futures amid the harsh wastes of endless desert. From Adam Silvera, we saw The First to Die at the End, out from Quill Tree in hardcover, ebook, and audio. This is a young adult fantasy/quasi-SF novel, a prequel to They Both Die at the End, about 2 new strangers spending their last day together after Deathcast makes its first fateful announcements. From Edward Willett, we saw The Tangled Stars, out from Daw in ebook. This is an SF space opera novel. More than a century ago, the network that made interstellar travel possible collapsed, but the connection to old Earth appears to have reopened. From J. Todd Scott, we saw The Flock, out from Thomas and Mercer in trade paperback, ebook, and audio. This is a near-future post-apocalyptic SF thriller novel set in a world devastated by multiple catastrophes. From David Weber and Jacob Hollow, we saw The Janus File, out from Baen in hardcover and ebook. This is an SF novel of time travel and alternate universes, 3rd book in the Gordian Division series. From Laura Schaefer, we saw A Long Way From Home, out from Carol Rhoda in hardcover, ebook, and audio. In this middle-grade SF novel, Abby meets 2 boys, a long way from home, who need her help and travels to the future with them. From Christopher Hood, we saw The Revivalists, out from Harper in hardcover, ebook, and audio, a post-apocalyptic SF novel. A couple among the few lucky survivors of the deadly shark flu decide to cross a devastated America to find their daughter, who joined a cult. Finally, in science fiction, we'll tell you about a book from editors A.R. Capetta and Wade Roosh, Tasting Light, out from MIT in hardcover and ebook. This is a young adult original anthology of 10 SF stories speculating on future developments based on emerging technologies of today. Authors include William Alexander, Kay Ankrum, Elizabeth Bear, A.R. Capetta, Nazugreg Rainey Hobson, A.S. King, and Wendy Xu. Next up, we'll cover horror. I have 15 horror titles to tell you about, so many that I'm going to keep each kind of brief. From Rebecca Campbell, we saw The Talosite, out from Undertow in trade paperback and ebook. This is a horror novella set in 1916 during the First World War in an alternate world where resurrection is possible. Not that I'm implying that we are in a world where resurrection is impossible. I think science fiction fantasy readers have a pretty broad definition of what's possible. From Stephen Gallagher, we saw Comparative Anatomy, the best short fiction of Stephen Gallagher, out from Subterranean Press in hardcover and ebook. This is a collection of 31 stories with an introduction by Stephen Volk. From Camilla Bruce, we saw The Witch in the Well, out from Tor in hardcover, ebook, and audio. This is a horror/mystery novel. Two women researching the death of a witch over 100 years before become rivals, and one ends up dead. But is it murder or a sinister something from the well? I know you're not supposed to answer rhetorical questions, but I think we all know the well has something to do with it. Well done. Amateur detective hour is over. From editors Sloan Leong and Cassie Hart, we saw Death in the Mouth, original horror by people of color. The title is self-published in ebook. This original anthology of 26 stories showcases BIPOC and other ethnically marginalized writers and artists from around the world, each story with an illustration by a different artist. Authors include K-Ming Chang, Johnny Compton, Darcy Little Badger, P.H. Lau, Karen Loichi, and Rivers Solomon. From Andrea Rogers, we saw Man-Made Monsters, out from Levine Querido in hardcover and ebook, a young adult collection of Cherokee horror stories, illustrated by Jeff Edwards. From Erica Waters, we saw The Restless Dark, out from Harper Teen in hardcover, ebook, and audio. This is a young adult horror novel about teens who are competing to find a killer's remains. From Jane Johnson, we saw The White Hair, out from Simon & Schuster in trade paperback, ebook, and audio. This is a gothic dark fantasy/horror novel of family secrets, superstition, and old mysteries, set in 1954 Cornwall. From Natalie Lund, we saw The Wolves Are Watching from Viking in hardcover, ebook, and audio. This is a young adult horror novel. A toddler goes missing in a small town, and her mother investigates the wolves in the woods and another little girl's disappearance in 1870. From Andy Marino, we saw It Rides a Pale Horse from publisher Red Hook in trade paperback and ebook. This is a horror novel. An artist is forced to read a book that seems demonic, or its writer unhinged, to save his sister in a small town with dark secrets. From D.T. Neal, we saw The Cursed Earth, out from Nose Touch Press in trade paperback and ebook. This is a folk horror novel. Gang members hiding out in rural Pennsylvania try to extort money from a mushroom farm with an enigmatic owner. As a mushroom farmer, right, it fits the bill. From editors David Lai and Daniel Zamparelli, we saw Queer Little Nightmares, out from Arsenal Pulp in trade paperback and ebook. This is an anthology of horror stories and poems by queer authors who reimagine classic monsters and explore the fear of the other. From Jennifer Thorne, we saw Loot, out from Tor Nightfire in hardcover, ebook, and audio. American Nina Treadway moves to the island of Loot and doesn't believe the stories that every 7th summer, 7 people die. From Amanda Glaze, we saw The Second Death of Edie and Violet Bond, out from Union Square & Co. in hardcover and ebook. This is a young adult historical horror novel set in 1885 California. Runaway twins Edie and Violet Bond are powerful mediums who join an all-female traveling spiritualist show. From Erin E. Adams, we saw Jackal, out from Bantam in hardcover, ebook, and audio. This is a mystery horror novel. Something is taking black girls in a small, mostly white town. From Attila Veris, we saw The Black Maybe, Liminal Tales, out from Valancourt Books in trade paperback, hardcover, and ebook. This is a collection of 10 macabre stories from Hungary's leading horror writer. Finally, we'll tackle fantasy. I've got 8 new fantasy titles I'm going to tell you about that are coming out this week. From PC Hodgel, we saw Deathless Gods out from Bane in trade paperback and ebook. This is a fantasy novel, 10th in the Godstalk Ken Craith series. From Anne Aguirre, we saw Extra Witchy out from Sourcebooks Casablanca in trade paperback, ebook, and audio. This is a feminist fantasy romantic comedy novel, the 3rd in the Fix-It Witches series. Leanne, after 2 failed marriages, cares more for her coven than romance, but needs the right husband to boost her political career. From editor Emily Brill-Holland, we saw Year's Best Autearoa New Zealand Science Fiction Fantasy Volume 4, out from Paper Road Press NZ in ebook. This is a Year's Best anthology with 14 stories originally published by New Zealanders in 2021. Authors include Andy Buchanan, Octavia Cade, A.J. Fitzwater, and M. Jerusha Wem. From Anne Davila Cardinal, we saw The Storyteller's Death, out from Sourcebooks Landmark in trade paperback, ebook, and audio. This is a fantasy novel about a Puerto Rican teen who develops a strange ability when her Cuentista grandmother dies. From Neil Cochran, we saw The Story of the 100 Promises, out from Forest Avenue Press in trade paperback, ebook, and audio. This is a fairy tale fantasy novel, a loose retelling of Beauty and the Beast, centered on queer and trans characters. Trans sailor Dara searches for the enchanter who once gave him the magic to become his true self. From editors Tahani Croft and Stephanie Lai, we saw The Art of Being Human, out from Fablecroft Publishing in ebook. This is an anthology of 23 stories and 1 poem. Authors include Ike Flinthart, Juliet Marillier, Tansy Rayner Roberts, and Karen Warren. From Jennifer Givehand, we saw River Woman, River Demon, out from Blackstone Publishing in hardcover, ebook, and audio. This is a fantasy novel about a Chicana artist who practices brujeria and curanderismo, but is having trouble even before her husband is arrested for the murder of their friend, and the ghosts of 2 murdered women start haunting her. Finally, from Sonia Coudet, we saw The Portals of Sparkling Falls, out from BHC Press in hardcover, trade paperback, and ebook. This is a portal fantasy novel. 16-year-old Laura finds herself with amnesia in a village with dark secrets, but without electricity or running water. And before you go off to the library or the laundry or whatever it is you've got on your docket, I have 3 art and nonfiction titles to tell you about as well. From the brilliant artist and creator Sean Tan, we saw Creature, out from Levine Querido in hardcover. This is a non-fiction collection of essays on art, illustration, and filmmaking, offering advice to writers and artists young and old. From Rob Wilkins, we saw Terry Pratchett, A Life with Footnotes, out from Doubleday UK in hardcover, ebook, and audio. This is an official biography by Pratchett's manager, finishing the memoir that Pratchett was unable to complete before his death. Finally, from William Shatner and Joshua Brandon, we saw Boldly Go, Reflections on a Life of Awe and Wonder, out from Atria in hardcover, ebook, and audio. This is a collection of autobiographical essays by Shatner with Brandon, reflecting on what Shatner has learned over his many years, told through stories of his life. That wraps up this week. Check out the full unabridged list at the link below if you're hungry for more. At Locus, we want to tell you everything relevant that's happening in the science fiction fantasy horror publishing space. We appreciate your eyes and ears and your likes and subscribes. We are at Locus Mag or at Locus Magazine on most platforms. Go check us out, www.locusmag.com. You can subscribe to the print magazine. Locus is available in a digital edition. Patreon donations start as low as $1 per month. We are a 501c3 nonprofit. Come back and see us again soon. And we'll be here next week with more new books.